Okay, so let's dive into this thing. It's a pretty big deal, and it could actually impact you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking about the Trump administration's offer to federal workers.
Right.
8 months. 8 months pay if they resign by February 6th.
Wow.
So it's been called the deferred resignation program,
Hmm.
but kind of sounds a lot like a buyout, doesn't it?
It really does. And yeah, it's definitely raising eyebrows. What's interesting is how big this could be. We could be talking about thousands of government workers just walking away.
Thousands.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So why is the Trump administration doing this? I mean, is it just about saving money?
Well, yeah, they are saying that it could save taxpayers up to $100 billion,
Okay.
which is, I mean, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But they're also really pushing for a full-time return to the office for federal employees after the pandemic. And this offer seems to be part of that whole push.
Yeah.
Like, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt actually said that taxpayers deserve employees who show up.
Show up. That makes me think about, you know what Elon Musk did at Twitter when he took over?
Oh, yeah.
He offered employees a similar deal. Take the money and go.
Right.
And I don't know if you remember, but there was that fork in the road art piece he commissioned.
Uh-huh.
And the email subject line for this offer is the same.
Oh, wow.
It's a little eerie, don't you think?
Yeah, the parallels are definitely there.
There really.
It does make you wonder if this is just about saving money or if there's maybe some deeper political strategy going on.
Yeah, especially since we know Stephen Miller, who is, really key in the administration, has talked about wanting to change up the political leanings of the federal workforce. But let's get to what people really want to know. How could this impact normal people?
Well, think about it. The services you rely on from the government, things like processing your passport applications, handling your Social Security benefits, or even just getting permits for a small business. If thousands of workers suddenly leave, those services could completely stop.
Right. So are we talking about longer wait times, delays, just a bunch of frustration for anybody who needs to deal with the government?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not just an inconvenience. Like these delays, they could have big consequences for people's jobs, their health care, their ability to travel. I mean, it goes on.
Hold on, though. The administration is saying this will actually save taxpayers money in the long run.
Uh-huh.
Is there any truth to that?
It's complicated. I
Uh-huh.
mean, yeah, reducing the federal workforce could lead to lower payroll costs.
Right.
But you have to think about the costs on the other side, too.
What do you mean?
Well, imagine businesses having to wait months to get permits.
Yeah.
They lose money, which hurts the economy.
Okay.
Or people can't get important health care because their applications are stuck. That could lead to bigger problems later, which means higher costs for everyone.
So this could actually cost taxpayers more if essential services are disrupted.
Yeah, it's possible.
So I guess the question is the risk worth it?
That's the million-dollar question. To answer it, we need to look at who might take this offer and how their absence could affect certain agencies and programs. Like, let's take the Social Security Administration.
Uh-huh.
A lot of their employees are, getting close to retirement. This buyout could be really attractive to them.
Right, like a nice bonus before retiring.
Yeah.
But then what happens to all the people who need those benefits?
Well, if you have a lot of experienced claims processors leaving, you could have huge delays in processing new applications and even ongoing payments.
Yeah, so people who are depending on those Social Security checks could be left high and dry.
Exactly. And we can't forget about Medicare. I mean, millions of Americans rely on that for their health care.
And we already talked about how delays in healthcare can just turn into bigger, more expensive problems.
Exactly. And it's not just Social Security and Medicare.
Right.
Think about the IRS. Tax season is already a pain.
Right. Yeah. Tell me about it. I still haven't filed mine from last year.
Well, imagine if there are even fewer people to process those returns, answer questions, and deal with the backlog. It'd be a mess.
So we've got potential delays with Social Security, Medicare, the IRS. What other essential services could be affected?
Well, the VA, the Department of Veterans Affairs, could be hit hard.
Right.
And that would be terrible, for those who served our country.
Yeah.
And then there are the agencies that are in charge of food safety, the environment, transportation. I mean, it goes on.
It feels like this could touch, pretty much every part of our lives.
It really could. And that potential for disruption is what's making people nervous. These are important services that people depend on every day.
But the administration has said they're going to try and streamline services, cut red tape. Maybe that could help offset the negative stuff.
Yeah, that's what they're hoping, but we don't really know how well they can do that, especially with potentially fewer workers.
Right. And even if they streamline things, there's still the issue of losing those experienced employees.
Yeah.
Like, what happens if the people who know how to make these agencies run are the ones who take the buyout?
That's a big worry. You could end up with, what they call a brain drain,
Yeah.
where all the knowledge and expertise just disappears. It would be like trying to fly a plane without a pilot.
Okay, so things could get pretty messy.
Yeah.
But let's, play devil's advocate for a second.
Yeah.
Could there be any good things for everyday people if this works out the way they say it will?
Well, if they really can streamline those services, cut through the bureaucracy, maybe dealing with the government wouldn't be such a pain. Like, imagine if you could renew your passport online without all the hassle.
Right.
Yeah,
That would be a dream. And maybe if the government is smaller, more efficient, maybe our taxes go down.
it's possible. But it's all just, what if at this point?
Yeah.
And even if those good things do happen, you have to balance them against those very real risks we were just talking about.
So it's a gamble.
Mm-hmm.
And everyday people are the ones who might have to pay the price if it doesn't work out.
Exactly. This isn't just about numbers. It's about real people's lives and how this decision could affect them, their access to services, their finances, even their health.
And that brings us to the big question. What can people do if they're worried about all of this?
Well, the first thing is to stay informed, read up on the issue, understand both sides, and talk to people about it.
Yeah, because this isn't just like some political debate,
Yeah.
It's about how the government actually works and how that impacts, us.
Right. And once you know what's going on, then you can, speak up. Contact your representatives, write to the newspapers, talk about it online. Let them know what you think about all this.
It's easy to feel like your voice doesn't matter, but if enough people say something, it can change things.
Definitely. Remember, the government is supposed to work for us. This is our chance to, be part of the process and make sure they hear what we're worried about.
So we've talked about the bad stuff, the maybe good stuff, and what people can do. But it feels like a big experiment, doesn't it?
It really does. And we're all in it. It'll be interesting to see how this all shakes out, in the coming months and years.
Yeah, interesting, but also kind of scary. Like, if all these experienced people leave, who's going to replace them?
Yeah.
Will they even try to fill those jobs?
That's the question. If the government doesn't have a plan to get qualified people and keep them, things could get even worse. It's like the best people leave because it's so hard to work there, and then that makes it even harder to find new people.
Yeah, that's not good. It makes you wonder, what does this whole thing say about how we value public service?
Yeah, it brings up some important points about how the government and the people connect. Is working for the government a good job? Are we supporting the people who keep the government going?
Yeah.
We need to be talking about this.
This whole deep dive has definitely given me a lot to think about. What about you? If you were offered 8 months' pay to quit your job, would you take it? What would you think about? It's a big decision, could change your life and the whole country.
It's a decision you really got to think about, that's for sure. And it shows how important it is to stay informed and be part of the process. What our leaders do affects us all, and it's up to us to hold them accountable and speak our minds.
Well said. And with that, we'll wrap up this deep dive. Thanks for joining us. This is important stuff.